For those of us who have been eagerly awaiting a dose of fictitious dystopia to temporarily divert us from the actual dystopia where we exist, the return of Black Mirror couldn't have come at a better time. This season has decided to mix things up by adopting a slightly less modern vision of humanity than we've seen in previous seasons, by beginning in the present and going into an alternate past to give us tales concerning what tomorrow may yet contain. This new collection of tales opts to spice things up a bit, and it's brimming with top-notch performances, wacky events, and a little psychological terror to top it all off. As a result, we need to clarify some of these complexities. 1. Joan is awful. It would appear that Joan had everything, except for the ability to direct her own life. She has the trappings of success: a comfortable home, a devoted partner, and a prominent role at her company. Her morale is at an all-time low as she is forced to terminate a hardworking employee and avoids taking responsibility for her actions. But then she finds a show on Streamberry called Joan is Awful, and she feels that the show was made just for her. The realization that Joan is awful is based on her, and her life causes her to go from curious to appalled. In Salma Hayek's skilled hands, Joan's darkest moments are amplified for dramatic effect, and Joan quickly descends into a deep depression. In computer-generated form, at the very least, the release of Joan is Awful is well-timed, given the widespread concern that AI and ChatGPT would eventually replace human artists. Even though Joan is humiliated to realize that she has given Streamberry ownership of her likeness by agreeing to their enormous user agreement when she first enrolled, she partners up with Salma Hayek to get even with their slanderers. This evolves into an absurd comedy with a happy conclusion once the heroes storm the Streamberry headquarters, but that doesn't lessen the significance of the message. This is one of the more encouraging episodes of Black Mirror, since we see the algorithm machine destroyed and Joan back in the captain's chair of her world where she belongs. 2. Loch Henry. This was a depressing episode, even by the standards of Black Mirror, which is saying something. In this episode, Davis and his new girlfriend Pia produce a video on the horrific murders and tortures that plagued Davis's hometown. The project is called Davis's Hometown, a documentary. Although a producer is interested in the movie, she proposes that the documentary requires more material and a more personal approach, and that the group goes back to capturing authentic video using an analog camera. Pia finds out that Davis's mother's video recordings were capturing the atrocities, and that both she and Davis's late father were participating in the gruesome deaths while Davis was in the hospital recovering from a car accident. Davis was the driver of the vehicle that was involved in the crash. During her escape from the house, Pia stumbles and hurts her head, which ultimately leads to her death in the river. In the meantime, Davis' mother acknowledges that Pia has found out the truth, and she kills herself, leaving Davis with a pile of films for him to use in the documentary. Pia has found out the truth about Davis' mother. In the future, Davis has been awarded a BAFTA for the documentary, which includes all of the genuine and personal details that can be found. His friend Stuart couldn't be more ecstatic about how well things are going for businesses in the community. Davis, on the other hand, is sitting in utter destitution because, although he has established himself as a successful director, he has lost practically everything else. If you like the video, make sure to click the like button and subscribe to our channel. Now, let's get back to it. 3. Beyond the Sea. David and Cliff are astronomers who are currently stationed in deep space. To assist them in coping with the stress of being gone from Earth for such an extended period, they have access to technology that can transfer their minds into robotic forms. David is left in a state of utter devastation after the deaths of his loved ones at the hands of a sect that thinks that artificial life is an atrocity. To assist David in coping with his condition, Cliff and his wife, Lana, offer to let David utilize Cliff's connection for 1 hour each week. Even though this, of course, leads to some strange situations, they do this for David. Cliff's attempt to control Lana, their son, and even David's mourning process leads to disaster when David reappears to take Cliff's family away, just as he did when he took away Cliff's own family when he lost his own. David develops a crush on Lana, but she rejects him. One may feel invincible if they have everything they want, but in the end, we have no control over what happens to us in life, and suffering a loss might bring us to the same place as everyone else. Cliff's arrogant conviction that he can control the situation backfires on him, and as a result, He and David are finally placed on the same level for the first time in their relationship. Even though the episode closes on a cliffhanger with David pushing a chair over to Cliff and encouraging him to eat at the same table as them, it is abundantly evident that neither Cliff nor David has anything else to live for at this point. It is irrelevant whether they proceed with their plans or not at this point. Nonetheless, whatever they decide to do, they will have to carry it out together. 4. Mazey Day. Was no one anticipating that? No, we didn't do it at all. Down on her luck, paparazzi Bo seizes the opportunity to collect $30,000 for a single photograph of missing actress Mazey Day, who left the set of her film without a trace. As viewers, we know that Mazey committed a hit and run and that she is suffering greatly as a result, having flashbacks and wreaking havoc on the residence of the producer who is protecting her. Bo discovers where Mazey is and tracks her down to a rehabilitation center, where she and 3 other paparazzi find her imprisoned up inside. Bo, horrified, tries to release her despite pleas from Mazey to leave her alone. After being freed from her chains, however, it becomes clear that Mazey was infected by a werewolf she had struck. After killing everyone in the room save Bo, who manages to shoot her, she reverts to her human form and begs Bo to put an end to her life. Bo gives her a gun and photographs her doing it so she can make a fortune from the photos. 5. Demon 79. The protagonist of Demon 79 is Nida, a South Asian lady who works at a shoe store in 1979 England. Her National Front supporting employee often displays open animosity towards her and her culture, subjecting her to racist abuse and microaggressions regularly. Nida gets by with destructive fantasies but otherwise lives a low-key existence. And then she stains a talisman with her blood, unwittingly calling forth the demon Gap, who disguises himself as Bobby Farrell, lead singer for the novelty dance band Boney M. Nida begins to doubt her sanity after Gap tells her she must kill 3 people to prevent the end of the world. Gap encourages Nida to decide who she will kill by pointing out the abundance of despicable people in her immediate vicinity. A police officer with good intentions pulls her over short of her destination, and, sure enough, Gap's prophecy comes true. The question is, does the apocalypse happen? After depicting far-right marches, Cold War discussions, and the prospect of Russian nuclear attacks, Demon 79 concludes with the world having disintegrated owing to rising political tensions. Due to Nida's racial disadvantage, she attributes these attacks to a demonic influence. She tries to murder a conservative parliamentary candidate despite her history of mental illness, but is stopped by an officer. She has no choice but to wait for the end of the world, now that the talisman she trusted is nothing more than a domino. Gap is punished for not helping Nida, so he provides her a chance to escape, and the 2 of them dance together to Art Garfunkel's Bright Eyes as the end of the world approaches. And that's it for today. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about these endings, and we'll see you next time.